Devils Monday. This is The Woo Report. The Woo Report. Episode 456, titled Drag Them Back to Newark. I'm your host, Sam Woo. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Yeah, coming to you live from the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey on this beautiful Monday night as the Devils are down 3-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes after that loss last night. Quite depressing. Devils down 3-0. Mounted a comeback 3-2. And then, yes, the Carolina Hurricanes just scored. Doom and gloom. Fans were kind of down. Some fans were mad. I couldn't even go on Devils After Dark because I was that mad. The cookie, we tried everything. We threw, as fans, we threw everything we had with superstition, with things that our routine, thinking, okay, that's going to help us with some good luck, try to get this victory to even the series up. The only way to even this series up, if you're going to have a chance, is to drag them back to Newark, the Carolina Hurricanes. And we have to really think about how this will be done. Can it be done? Are we dreaming here? Am I being unrealistic that the New Jersey Devils even have a shot at this? But my friends, my fellow Devils fans, we have to believe. And what is the path to get there? How do we drag the Carolina Hurricanes, maybe some of their fans, back to New Jersey at the Rock Friday night? I believe it's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern start. How do we drag them back? But yes, there is a path, my friends. There is a path. Now, I could say what other analysts are saying. Well, if you catch them sleeping game 5, if you force a game 6, a couple lucky bounces here and there, and then you got the momentum into game 7. But Sheldon Keefe, I believe, was brought here for a reason. He is a good coach. A great coach, but had some bad luck trying to get to the next round. The Devils are a playoff team, folks. But what will Sheldon Keefe do? What can he do to get this series back to Newark? Well, let's look to the past. What he did with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I got to give some credit where credit's due. Nick Villano at pucksandpitchforks.com kind of alluded to it. What happened against the series against the Boston Bruins last year in the playoffs, that team was down 3-1. 3-1. Same scenario. They didn't have home ice advantage. They had a terrible Game 4 performance on home ice against the Boston Bruins. that left them sitting down 3-1, plus the injuries. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander. There were injuries. Actually, sorry, I think it was Mitch Marner that had the injury, but they didn't have any heart, not tough enough. Are they overpaid? But no, they didn't pack it in. They fought on because Sheldon Keefe challenged them. But he also made the adjustments. And I firmly believe the way to do it, folks, is to bore them to death and play a simple defensive game. That's what the Toronto Maple Leafs did with their blue line. Right now, the Devils' blue line is decimated. You do not have Luke Hughes, Brendan Dillon. You just got Dougie Hamilton back and Jonas Siegenthaler back. You have Shimon Nemitz in there playing significant time. And that's not a knock on him. He's actually, for the most part, has done better than expected. But without three of your defensemen out, without them, you're going to have to simplify the game with Dougie Hamilton and Siegenthaler and Dumoulin and the rest. Slow it down and play a simple defensive game. Remember, the Toronto Maple Leafs went against Jeremy Swayman, who was at that point was having a fantastic year. He was the number one goalie. And Sheldon Keefe did it. He got him to a Game 7. If you remember that Game 7 in Boston, they are playing the Boston Bruins. Jim Montgomery's team, who the previous year set the NHL record in most points in the regular season the year before. But they got to the Game 7. It was 0-0 tie. The defense played great positioning. They were blocking shots. They were doing everything they can to frustrate the Boston Bruins. And that's what the Devils have to do. That's what they're going to have to do. Be annoying, frustrating, be aggressive, but be disciplined. And you can make the Hurricanes pay by being impatient and making a mistake. And the Devils have to take it one shift at a time. So when you go into Carolina for Game 5 tomorrow, which American Whiskey is hosting a viewing party, by the way, across the street from Prudential Center. Got word of that today. Highly suggest that you go there. The first 10 minutes of the game, you got to come out hard. The crowd's going to be obnoxious. They're going to be loud down in Raleigh. If you can withstand that 10 minutes and control the tempo of the game and play a very conservative, defensive-minded game like how the Toronto Maple Leafs did. They simplified their defense. They were blocking shots. You can make them pay. Val says, yeah, well, this is Sheldon Keefe experience. Too passive as Toronto fans. Yes, but what we're talking about here is how do we drag them back to Newark? I'm talking about taking one game at a time. You can't take the series in one game, in game 5. You got to take it shift by shift, game by game at this point. And Beachmaster says, yeah, weather the storm. Little pun in there. But Keefe has done it before. He got his team in position in that Game 7 against Boston. And Toronto did have a 1-0 lead. They did get a 1-0 lead. But what happened was they got too excited after they got that 1-0 lead, and then the ice started to open up. And once the ice started to open up, the Boston Bruins cashed in and equalized. And eventually the Boston Bruins won the game, beating the Toronto Maple Leafs after all that effort. But the Devils have to stay disciplined, and they got to stay the course. And I believe that Sheldon Keefe could get this team to replicate what they did in Toronto last year. I'm not saying that they're going to win the series, but if you're going to win the series and there's a narrow path, that's your path. That's how you're going to get there. And us as fans, we got to be entertaining. We got to cheer for our team, no matter what. I know that sounds cliche, but you got to get that positive energy going. You got to get that positive vibe going. You got to believe. You got to believe each shift is going to be ours. Each period is going to be ours. And each game is going to be ours. Kodak says, sad part is Canes are beatable with this team, which is crazy. They are beatable. You just got to believe. I mean, look, the Devils got down 3-0. And remember how I told you the Devils should go hard to the net when they were down 2-0? Game 3, they were aggressive. Game 4, Timo Meier went hard to the net. Timo Meier scored yesterday. Timo Meier is going to be the key guy for the Devils. The Devils need to get more offense. And they're just going to have to muscle through. They've got to drive to the net. Keep driving, keep driving, keep driving. Work the defense. Wear them down. But also play smart in your own zone. And play smart defensively. But the Devils need to drag them back to Newark. I'll tell you, if they drag them back to Newark, that Game 6 or Friday night at the Rock will be tremendous. And the same scenario happened the last go-around, 2 years ago. The game ended in overtime. Game 5, if you remember, Siegenthaler unfortunately got the delay of game penalty, flipping the puck above the glass. Carolina Hurricanes scoring on the power play. And the series was over. But I think this Devils team has what it takes to get it done. But that's what I say. I want to read some of the comments. Florida Panthers fan, Australia. Hi, guys, from Lenaceston, Tasmania, Australia. Hey, I've had the Australian lobster tail. Florida Panthers fan, Australia. Amazing. It is just an amazing dish. The Australian lobster tail. I believe they come from Tasmania. Let's see here. Yeah, Tom is right. Our special teams are costing us the series. They definitely are. Special teams, special teams, special teams. That's what we talked about on the podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, is that, the Devils ranked top 5, both penalty kill and power play in the regular season. We got to give credit to the Carolina Hurricanes. They're just getting the job done. Simply getting the job done. But there is a tomorrow. And will there be a tomorrow after tomorrow? That remains to be seen. Steve Engel says, no shot, Ted. Steve Engel taking the doom and gloom prediction, saying it's over. Ted saying is calm down in the peanut gallery. Well, let's calm down, folks. Series is not over. If you're down 5-2 with 3 seconds left, okay, it's over. But the series is not over. But also, the other thing too is what I can't stand is pulling the goaltender, the strategy behind it. Can you at least wait till you have possession in the other zone before doing it? Sometimes they pull the goalies too early. Sometimes they pull the goalies too late. Sometimes they just pull the goalies at the worst time. Jim Norton says he believes it's coming back to the Rock. Absolutely, it's coming back to the Rock. It's definitely going to be a nice night if it does come back to the Rock. Well, we're going to have Game Day Live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Anticipation of Game 5, Devils, Canes in Raleigh. And then we'll have Devils After Dark after the game. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Yeah. All right, well. Going to hit the music right now. But I had to get it off my chest. They got to drag it back to Newark. And how about that crowd yesterday on Edison Place? We were blasting music. We were on podcasting. At that point, we were just like, there's so many people here. The wind was 45 mile per hour gusts. We decided to play music. The place was just electric on Edison Place at American Whiskey. And remember, American Whiskey viewing party tomorrow for Game 5 on the 3rd floor. You can watch it on that jumbotron of a TV. I think it's 20 feet long. It is huge. It is big. It's the big screen. We have the big stage and the big screen at American Whiskey. All right, getting out of here. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go Devils.